In 2007, Pixar released a children's movie about a rat who wants to cook. And hidden inside that children's movie is the most accurate depiction of spiritual guidance, divine inspiration, and the war between the ego and the true self ever committed to film. Not in a serious drama, not in an art house film, not in an esoteric documentary, in a cartoon, about a rat that sits on a man's head and pulls his hair. Ratatouille is not a film about cooking. It's not a film about following your dreams. It's not even a film about a rat. It's a film about the voice inside your head, the one that knows exactly what you're capable of, the one you keep hiding under a hat, the one the world keeps trying to kill. Today we're going to decode that relationship. Every layer of it, every tradition that describes it, every ancient framework that saw this coming thousands of years before Pixar did. By the end of this video, you'll never look at that rat the same way again. Here's what you need to know. Ratatouille follows Remy, a rat with an extraordinary gift for cooking, and Linguini, a clumsy young man with no culinary talent whatsoever. Through a series of accidents, Remy ends up hidden under Linguini's tall chef's hat, controlling his movements by pulling his hair. Together, they become the greatest chef in Paris. On the surface, it's a story about unlikely partnership, about following your passion, about the democratization of talent. But underneath, it's something far older, far deeper, far more dangerous. Because the relationship between Remy and Linguini has been described by mystics, philosophers, psychologists, shamans, and occultists for thousands of years. They just used different words for it. Today we're going to use all of them. This is occult cinema, where the screen's the sigil. Let's begin. The unconscious mind. Let's start with the most fundamental layer, the one that requires no spiritual belief, no esoteric knowledge, just an honest look at how the human mind actually works. Remy hides under the hat. Linguini doesn't know why he's suddenly cooking brilliantly. He thinks it's him, he takes the credit, he accepts the praise, he believes the story that he is the source of this extraordinary ability. He isn't. Carl Jung spent his entire career trying to explain this exact dynamic. The conscious mind, the part of you that thinks it's in charge, is a tiny fraction of the total psyche. Beneath it, driving it, shaping every decision and impulse and creative act, is the unconscious, vast, ancient, intelligent, and completely invisible to the conscious mind. The hat is the skull. Remy is the unconscious. Linguini is the conscious mind walking around taking credit for things he doesn't understand. Jung said that 95% of human behavior is driven by the unconscious. 95%. The conscious mind is the man in the kitchen. The unconscious is the rat under the hat. And most of us spend our entire lives convinced that we are Linguini, that we are the source, that we are in control. We aren't. Every time you've had a sudden inspiration, every time you've known something without knowing how you knew it, every time you've created something that surprised even you, that was Remy. That was the unconscious mind pulling your hair, guiding your hands, cooking through you while you stood there wondering how you got so good. The first secret of Ratatouille is the simplest and the most humbling. You are not as in control as you think you are, and the thing that's actually driving you is far more capable than you are. The inner child. But what is the unconscious? What is Remy made of? Where does he come from? He comes from before the world told you no, before the system told you your place, before the conditioning, before the fear. Remy has no shame. He is a rat who loves fine cuisine, and he sees absolutely nothing wrong with that. He doesn't apologize for what he is. He doesn't shrink from his gift. He doesn't ask permission to be extraordinary. He simply is what he is with complete and total commitment. This is the inner child, the uncorrupted self, the part of you that existed before the world got to it. Gusteau's philosophy, anyone can cook, is not a statement about cooking. It's a statement about the inner child. Anyone can access their true gift. Anyone can create. Anyone can be extraordinary. Not because everyone has the same talent, but because everyone has Remy. Everyone has the uncorrupted self waiting under the hat. The tragedy of Linguini is the tragedy of most adults. He's empty, hollow, disconnected from his own gift. He stumbles through the kitchen of life breaking things and apologizing, because somewhere along the way, the world convinced him that he was just Linguini, just the clumsy kid, just the nobody. But the inner child never believes that. The inner child knows better, and it keeps showing up, keeps pulling the hair, keeps trying to cook through the broken adult who forgot what he was capable of. Remy doesn't give up on Linguini. The inner child never gives up on you. No matter how many times you put the hat back on, no matter how many times you hide it, No matter how many times you let the world convince you that you're just the clumsy kid in the kitchen, it's still there, still hungry, still cooking. The Muse. Now watch how Remy experiences food. He doesn't just taste it, he sees it. Colors explode across his vision. Music plays, flavors become symphonies. The physical sensation of eating becomes a full spiritual experience. This is synesthesia, the crossing of senses, the moment when the physical becomes the transcendent. And it's the oldest description of creative inspiration in human history. The ancient Greeks didn't believe creativity came from within. They believed it came through you, from outside, from the Muses. 9 divine beings who chose their instruments and breathed inspiration into them. The poet didn't write the poem. The Muse wrote the poem through the poet. Remy is the Muse. He doesn't teach Linguini to cook. He cooks through Linguini. He uses Linguini's hands, Linguini's body, Linguini's presence in the kitchen as the instrument through which his own genius expresses itself. And notice the chain of inspiration. Gusteau inspires Remy. Remy inspires Linguini. The Muse has a muse. Inspiration flows through levels of consciousness like light through a prism, each level receiving it, transforming it, passing it on. Elizabeth Gilbert wrote about this in Big Magic. Creativity as a living entity, a force that moves through the world looking for willing human vessels. It doesn't care about your credentials. It doesn't care about your background. It cares about your availability, your willingness to receive. Linguini's greatest gift is not talent, it's emptiness. He has no ego about cooking, no preconceptions, no pride to protect. He is the perfect empty vessel, and the Muse, the inner child, the unconscious Remy, fills him completely. Your emptiness is not your weakness. It is your greatest spiritual asset. The Muse cannot fill a vessel that is already full of itself. The demon/genius. The Greeks had another concept beyond the Muse, more personal, more specific, more intimate, the demon. Socrates spoke of his demon constantly, an inner voice, a personal guiding spirit, not a general divine force, but a specific one, assigned to him, knowing his path, guiding his choices, warning him when he was about to make a mistake. The Romans called it the genius, the divine spark of creative intelligence that lived within every person. When you said someone had genius, you weren't saying they were smart. You were saying their genius, their personal divine spirit, was particularly active, particularly present, particularly willing to work through them. And here is where Ratatouille reveals something extraordinary. There isn't just one demon in this film. There are 2, layered, nested, a chain of divine guidance running through the entire story. Gusteau is Remy's demon. He appears to Remy as a vision after his death. He guides Remy toward his destiny. He encourages him when he doubts. He challenges him when he settles. He knows Remy's path before Remy does. And Remy is Linguini's demon. He appears at exactly the right moment. He knows Linguini's path before Linguini does. He guides him toward his destiny. He encourages him when he doubts. Demon guiding human. The divine chain of inspiration running from the highest source down through every level of consciousness until it reaches the hands that will cook the meal that will change everything. Your demon is real. It speaks to you every day, through sudden knowing, through creative impulse, through the quiet voice that says, "This is the way," when everything else is noise. The question is not whether your demon exists. The question is whether you're listening. The brain/heart split. Remy operates from the head, literally. He sits at the crown of Linguini's skull and directs with pure precision, pure intellect, pure creative vision. He knows exactly what the dish needs, exactly how much salt, exactly when to turn the heat down, the mind in perfect operation. Linguini operates from the heart. He falls in love with Colette. He feels loyalty to Remy. He makes decisions based on emotion, on connection, on the desperate human need to be loved and accepted. He is all heart, all feeling, all beautiful, chaotic, unreliable emotion. And they clash. Constantly. The head wants precision, the heart wants connection, the head wants to cook, the heart wants to be seen, the head knows what's right, the heart knows what's real. This is the oldest war in human consciousness. The brain and the heart, thought and feeling, logic and love. Every spiritual tradition on earth has grappled with this split. Which one do you follow? Which one do you trust? Which one is telling you the truth? The answer Ratatouille gives is neither, and both. The moment of true mastery in this film is not when Remy controls Linguini perfectly. It's when they stop fighting, when the head and the heart find their rhythm together, when precision and passion stop competing and start collaborating. The greatest cooking, the greatest art, the greatest life is not the triumph of the mind over the heart or the heart over the mind, it's the marriage of both. The moment when what you think and what you feel point in exactly the same direction. That's when the dish becomes transcendent. That's when the art becomes sacred. That's when the life becomes worth living. The pineal gland / crown chakra. Now let's talk about where Remy sits, because this is not accidental. He sits at the very top of Linguini's head, at the crown, and he communicates by pulling the hair, by activating the scalp, by stimulating the very apex of the human body. In the Hindu chakra system, the crown chakra, Sahasrara, is the seat of divine consciousness, the point where the individual soul connects to the universal, where the finite touches the infinite, where human consciousness opens to something larger than itself. When the crown chakra is open, inspiration flows, creativity flows, divine guidance flows. The person becomes a clear channel between the higher realms and the physical world. Remy pulling Linguini's hair is the activation of the crown chakra. Every pull is a transmission. Every tug is a download of divine creative intelligence flowing from the higher self into the body. And René Descartes, the father of modern philosophy, called the pineal gland the seat of the soul, the small pine cone-shaped gland at the center of the brain, the point where the immaterial soul interfaces with the material body, the bridge between spirit and flesh. The hat conceals all of this. The hat is the skull, the social mask, the constructed identity that hides the divine connection from the world. We all wear the hat. We all hide the crown. We all pretend that we are just the body, just the ego, just the person the world sees. But underneath the hat, at the crown of the head, something extraordinary is happening. Something is pulling your hair. Something is trying to guide your hands. Something is trying to cook through you. Take off the hat. The higher self / lower self. In Kabbalistic tradition, the human soul is not a single thing. It's a hierarchy, a ladder of consciousness with multiple levels, each more refined than the last. At the bottom is the nefesh, the animal soul, the body's instincts and drives, the part of you that breathes and hungers and fears. At the top is the neshama, the divine soul, the spark of God within the human, the part of you that is eternal, that existed before birth and continues after death, that knows your true purpose and never forgets it even when you do. Linguini is the nefesh, the body, the vessel, the animal soul stumbling through the kitchen of existence, hungry, confused, trying his best with the limited tools of the lower self. Remy is the neshama, the divine soul, the higher self, sitting above the lower self, literally, physically, always above, always directing, always knowing what the lower self cannot see from its limited vantage point. The higher self is not separate from you. It is you, the most real version of you. The version that existed before the world convinced you that you were just Linguini, just the lower self, just the body stumbling through the kitchen, and the higher self never abandons the lower self, no matter how many times the lower self fails, no matter how many dishes get dropped, no matter how many times the kitchen descends into chaos. The higher self stays, keeps pulling the hair, keeps trying to guide the hands, keeps believing in the vessel even when the vessel has stopped believing in itself. You are not Linguini. You are Remy. The Linguini is just the vehicle you're driving. The Holy Guardian Angel. In the Thelemic tradition, based on the ancient magical working of the Abra-Melon operation, the highest spiritual achievement a human being can attain is contact with their holy guardian angel. Not a general angel, not a collective divine force, your angel, specifically assigned to you, knowing your exact path, your exact purpose, your exact potential, present with you from before birth, waiting patiently for you to become conscious enough to receive its guidance. The holy guardian angel doesn't communicate through thunder and lightning. It communicates through intuition, through sudden knowing, through the creative impulse that feels like your own thought but carries a quality of intelligence that surprises you, that exceeds you, that knows more than you know. Remy appears in Linguini's life at exactly the right moment, not a moment too early, not a moment too late, when Linguini is at his lowest, when he has nothing, when he is about to be fired from the only kitchen he's ever wanted to work in. The holy guardian angel always appears at the moment of greatest need, when the ego has exhausted its options, when the lower self has run out of tricks, when there is nothing left but surrender. And Linguini feels Remy's guidance as his own instinct. He doesn't know it's Remy at first. He thinks he's suddenly discovered a hidden talent. He thinks the ability is coming from within him. Because that's exactly how the Holy Guardian Angel works. Its guidance feels like your own deepest intuition, your own truest impulse, your own most authentic self. Because it is. The Holy Guardian Angel is not separate from you. It is the most real part of you. The part that was never lost. The part that was always there. Waiting under the hat. The Shamanic Animal Guide. In shamanic traditions across every culture on Earth, the spirit guide almost always appears as an animal, not a human, not an angel, an animal. Because animals carry a quality of consciousness that humans have largely lost, a directness, a purity, an unmediated connection to the natural world and its intelligence. The spirit animal doesn't ask for your permission. It doesn't wait for you to be ready. It chooses you. It appears in your life at the moment of initiation, at the threshold between who you were and who you're becoming. Remy chose Linguini, not the other way around. Linguini didn't go looking for a rat. He didn't seek out a spirit guide. He didn't perform any ritual or make any request. Remy simply appeared, at the exact moment of initiation, at the threshold of the kitchen, at the beginning of everything. And the rat is the perfect shamanic guide for this story. The rat is a liminal creature. It lives between worlds, underground and above ground, in the walls between human spaces, in the margins, in the places that civilization pretends don't exist. The rat sees everything, knows everything, goes everywhere, and is rejected by the very world it navigates with such perfect ease. But there's another layer. Remy's father, Django, represents the ancestral voice of limitation, the collective conditioning of generations. We are rats, we steal, we hide, we survive. That is our nature. That is our place. And Remy refuses. Change is nature, Dad, the part that we can influence, and it starts when we decide. The shamanic animal guide is always the one who refuses the limitation of its kind, who crosses the boundary that its species was told never to cross, who leads the initiate beyond the conditioning of their ancestors into the territory of their true destiny. Where are you going? Django asks. With luck forward, Remy answers. The spirit guide always moves forward, even when everyone else says stop. The ID, ego, and superego. Freud divided the psyche into three parts. The id, the ego, the superego. The ID is the primitive, the instinctual, the animal drive, pure desire, pure appetite, pure nature. The ego is the constructed self, the social identity, the mediator between the animal within and the world without. The superego is the refined, the cultured, the aspirational self, the internalized voice of civilization's highest values. Now here is where Ratatouille performs its most radical inversion. By every conventional reading, the rat should be the id, the animal, the primitive, the base creature driven by hunger and instinct, and the human should be the superego, the refined, the civilized, the cultured. But Ratatouille flips it completely. Remy is the superego. He is the most refined consciousness in the film, the most cultured, the most aspirational. He appreciates fine cuisine with a sophistication that no human character in the film can match. He has internalized the highest values of culinary art and holds himself to them absolutely. And Linguini is the id, reactive, confused, driven by appetite and fear and the desperate need for approval. He is the animal in this relationship, the primitive, the base. Nature is more civilized than civilization. The rat is more refined than the human. The animal soul carries more of the divine than the constructed social identity. This is the film's most dangerous idea, hidden in plain sight, dressed in bright colors and delivered with a French accent. The thing you've been taught to suppress, to hide, to be ashamed of, is the most refined part of you. The animal wisdom, the natural intelligence, the instinct that civilization spent centuries trying to breed out of you. The superego wears fur and lives under your hat. The divine feminine. Remy is intuitive, sensory, feeling-based. He experiences the world through taste, through smell, through the immediate physical sensation of being alive in a body that is perfectly calibrated to receive the world's beauty. These are the qualities that every tradition on Earth has associated with the feminine principle. Not weakness, not passivity, but receptivity, sensitivity, the ability to receive the world fully rather than imposing upon it. Linguini is the masculine principle, external, action-oriented, trying to impose himself on the world, trying to be seen, trying to perform, trying to be enough. The feminine principle, Remy, guides the masculine vessel, linguini, from within. This is the Jungian anima, the feminine soul within the masculine psyche, the part of the masculine that feels, that intuits, that creates, that connects, the part that the masculine world spends enormous energy suppressing. And then there is Colette, the external feminine, the woman who knows the kitchen better than anyone, who has fought harder than anyone to be there, who carries the wisdom of the tradition in her hands. When the truth is spoken, when Linguini reveals Remy to the kitchen staff, the masculine world walks out. The staff, the hierarchy, the constructed professional world cannot accept the truth. It threatens everything they think they know. But Colette stays. The feminine stays. Love stays. Because the feminine principle is not threatened by the true self. It recognizes it. It has always known it was there. And when Colette returns to the kitchen on the night of the critic's visit, the alchemical marriage begins. The external feminine joining the masculine vessel and the inner feminine guide. Three becoming one. The trinity of the complete self assembling in the kitchen. The great work. Now everything converges. The kitchen staff has walked out. The social world has collapsed. The constructed professional identity has been stripped away. Linguini and Remy stand alone in the restaurant. Naked. Exposed. Everything false gone. This is the negredo. The blackening. The alchemical death that precedes transformation. The moment when everything you built on false foundations falls away and you're left with only what's real. And what's real? Remy. The true self. The higher self. The demon. The holy guardian angel. The shamanic guide. The unconscious mind. The inner child. The divine feminine within. All of it. All of him. Still there. Still pulling the hair. Still believing. Remy calls the rats. His true army. His real kind. The rejected. The hidden. The creatures that civilization pretends don't exist. They fill the kitchen. They cook with perfect precision. The shadow made visible. The unconscious made conscious. The hidden truth of how the greatest things in this world actually get made. And Colette returns. The sacred feminine comes back to the purified masculine. Love returns when the truth has been spoken, when the mask is off, when there is nothing left to protect. And together, Linguini and Colette walk out to present Remy to Anton Ego. This moment is the alchemical wedding. The great work complete. Every divided thing unified. Every hidden thing revealed. Every false separation dissolved. Rat and human, brain and heart, higher self and lower self, masculine and feminine, conscious and unconscious, inner child and adult, demon and vessel, animal and civilization, nature and culture, all of it, united, walking out of the kitchen together. And who witnesses this union? Anton Ego, the critical voice, the judge, the part of the psyche that has spent its entire existence deciding what is worthy and what is not, what is acceptable and what must be destroyed. Anton Ego tastes the ratatouille, the humble dish, the peasant food, the most honest thing on the menu, and it bypasses every defense, every critical faculty, every wall the ego has spent a lifetime building. It speaks directly to the inner child, to the memory of his mother's kitchen, to the moment before the world told him that some things were beneath him, that some creatures were unworthy, that some truths were too simple to be profound. And Anton Ego, the ego, surrenders, quietly, without drama, without performance. The ego that stops fighting doesn't explode. It simply steps aside, makes room, allows the truth to be true. He accepts the rat. He accepts the truth. He accepts that the greatest meal he has ever eaten was cooked by the thing he was most conditioned to reject. And then he uses his voice, the only tool the ego has ever had, not to destroy but to celebrate, not to judge but to protect, not to diminish but to honor. The ego in service of the true self. The critic become the advocate, the judge become the guardian. This is the completion of the journey, not the destruction of the ego, not the annihilation of Linguini, not the triumph of Remy over the human world, the union, the marriage, the reconciliation of every divided thing within the single human soul. The rat on your head is not your enemy. It is not your madness. It is not the thing to be ashamed of and hidden under a hat. It is the most real part of you, the most ancient, the most capable, the most divine. And it has been waiting, patiently, pulling your hair, trying to guide your hands, trying to cook through you for your entire life. The only question that has ever mattered is the same question Ratatouille has been asking from the very first frame. Are you going to keep wearing the hat? Ratatouille is not a children's movie. It is a complete map of the human psyche, a full initiatory journey from unconscious sleep to conscious union, from the hidden self to the revealed self. From the divided soul to the alchemical marriage. We traveled through 12 frameworks today: the unconscious mind, the inner child, the muse, the demon and the genius, the brain and the heart, the pineal gland and the crown chakra, the higher self and the lower self, the holy guardian angel, the shamanic animal guide, the id, ego, and superego inverted, the divine feminine, and the great work complete. Every framework points to the same truth. There is something in you that is greater than you, something that knows your path, something that has been trying to guide you your entire life, something you keep hiding under a hat because the world told you it was too strange, too animal, too real. It isn't. It's the most sacred thing about you. So here's what I want you to do. Watch Ratatouille again. But this time watch it as a spiritual text. Watch it as a mirror. And ask yourself honestly, what is the Remy in your life? What is the voice you keep hiding? What is the gift you keep suppressing because the world might not accept it? Then come back and tell me. Drop it in the comments. Let's talk about the rat on your head. And if you want more of this, if you want to go deeper into the occult secrets hidden in cinema, subscribe to Occult Cinema, because we're just getting started. Until then, stop hiding the rat. Let it cook.